Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop. All the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Hi folks, Cesar here. Thanks for joining us. We have a great show tonight. I'm super excited, and I wish you could be here, folks. We have a representation of some powerful women in our county right here in the studio, and I'm going to introduce you to all of them. But first up, we have my very good friend from Herndon, Mayor Lisa Merkel. She won her first election as the vice mayor in 2010. She won an election for mayor in 2012 and was reelected in 2014. Welcome, Mayor Merkel.
Thanks for having me, Cesar. Good to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Oh, and full disclosure, I have contributed to your campaign, just to let the folks know.
Yep, you have.
But that's not why you're here. Nope. I wanted you to come on and let's talk about Herndon.
All right, where to begin?
Look, I've lived in Herndon for a while, and stuff never really got done till you took over. What are you doing that's working, and how are you getting stuff done in Herndon?
Well, I think, as you know, Herndon has it all. It's got the small town charm. We're right outside of the D.C. area. We've got a metro station coming. We really have the best of both worlds. And I think what's happened since 2010, and then particularly since 2012, is we've got a group of people who are working together, focusing on the things that matter, really focusing on the community and things that we actually have control over. And when you work together and focus on the community, some great things can happen.
Well, that focus, clearly, I've got to say, I'm not buttering up, but it's really your leadership. I mean, that's clearly a tribute to your leadership ability. I mean, you've taken what used to be a lot of frogs and you've herded them, right? I mean, and so it's working great. What are some of the things that the folks out there should know about Herndon?
Well, we've really focused on, we've got two big things going on. We've got Metro that will be arriving in the town in 2018.
Awesome.
And before that, we're really focusing on our downtown. I know you live in downtown. I live just a few blocks from downtown, and we're trying to make it as walkable as possible.
Yeah.
We have a downtown master plan that's been community vetted. We've talked for years and years about our downtown, and finally we've passed a plan that keeps the density low, because people really are interested in keeping that small town feel.
Sure.
And so my number one goal and the goal of the council is to get that plan off of the page and into reality. We're working with the development community to make that happen, focusing on the trail. I think that...
Love the trail?
Love the trail.
Love what you did with the lights? Bravo.
Well,
Bravo.
That has been a long time coming.
I know.
We finally got it done. We worked on some grants, so it was not all taxpayer funded. About 80% of it is through a grant.
Right.
We've got halfway through the town lit, and we're actually working on securing grants right now to do the rest of the trail. So pretty soon you'll know on the WNOD that you're in Herndon because the lights are on.
It's awesome. I mean, I think I texted you or something. I'm like,
oh yeah,
congratulations, the lights are on.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting there. I get the first picture I saw of the lights on was from you saying, oh my God, it's finally here. So, and I still get those all the time.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
That's
it's really
awesome.
great. So we've got the bike trail that I've said this, and I can't talk enough about the bike trail.
Yeah.
We've said for my thing that I've said a lot is we've been talking about downtown for 20 years. Let's get it done.
Right.
But I really think accidentally we are somehow right at the right time.
Sure.
More and more people are biking for recreation. They're also commuting that way.
Yeah.
And so
there's a new bike shop in town.
There is.
I love that place.
Can you believe it's been there almost 2 years now? Yeah. Green Lizard Cycling. You got to check it out. It is a bike shop, a coffee shop. Dave and Beth live upstairs. I mean, it's just a throwback to the way downtown was, years ago. So.
No, I love that, and a little area out there on the lawn.
Oh yeah,
there.
you know what? My biggest accomplishment as mayor has been when we put some picnic tables out in front of the town
with umbrellas.
With umbrellas,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because it was such a simple thing, but it says "Stop here, things are happening."
Absolutely.
Stop and get to know your neighbors. Something else on the town green. Just stop me if you have another question, because I can talk about Herndon for the rest of my
Trust
life.
me, I know.
Here we go. That's going to cost you.
Okay.
So we also have a Little Free Library on the downtown Depot Green, and that's a program. It's littlefreelibrary.org if you look it up. It's a leave a book, take a book kind of program,
Right.
and so it's right down in the downtown. So we really just are focusing on making downtown a place where people come to see their friends and neighbors, hang out, and get to know each other.
Very cool.
Yeah.
No, it is. I mean, you said it. It's walkable. It's got that hometown, old town feel and charm, and I think really, again, I'll say it again. Prior to you being in that role, stuff just didn't happen. Down the street from me, there's that new development going on. On the other side,
yeah.
I mean, just like cool little development, cottages, and just it seems like Herndon is just hitting its stride, and with all this growth happening.
Well, I really think that it is, and I think that I get a lot of credit as the mayor, but I couldn't do it alone.
Sure.
I mean, it takes a council who's got their heart in the right place and is focusing on the community and listening to the people and making sure that we're working together to make things happen.
Well, you're doing a lot of persuading, because I know most of those folks, and they don't always agree on stuff.
That's
so
true.
You've clearly got the talent for getting people focused.
We're trying to just make Herndon. You and I have always said it's the gem of the Dulles Corridor.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a small town with a worldview. We have people from all over the world living in our 4 square miles.
I will tell you, for the folks that do not know, I think the diversity of restaurants. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Well, we actually started an initiative because we realized that in our 4 square miles we have over 120 restaurants.
Now say that number again.
4 square miles, 120 restaurants.
That is crazy.
And most of them are locally owned and operated.
Right.
We have a few chains, but most of them are family-owned restaurants. So we have a website. It's www.dineonherndon.com, and you can search and find.
We'll make sure we get that up for the folks.
So you can search all the restaurants in town. And the cool thing about the website, I always say this, all the pictures on the website, they're not stock photos. They were actually taken in our restaurants. So all the food, it's for real. It's Herndon.
Nice. Well, let's shift gears just a little bit.
Okay.
Herndon was in the news last week in terms of some elections being moved or not moved. Help me understand what happened there.
Sure.
Give us some background there.
Yeah, well, let me give you a little background. For at least the last decade, it's come up here with council after council whether or not we should consider moving our elections from May to November, and also whether or not we should extend our terms. Currently, council and mayor run all at large for 2-year terms, and we were looking into the possibility of extending those terms to 4 years because most of what we do is land use, and that takes forever, as you know. So we wanted to have whatever council was in place to be able to see some of those projects through.
Like the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
Their terms are 4-year terms.
Yes, exactly. So back at our retreat back in September, the council, mayor and council, all 7 of us, discussed all sorts of issues, rewrote our vision, did a lot of things. But one of the things we talked about were these election questions. And so all 7 of us decided unanimously that it was a conversation that needed to happen publicly and that we should take it to the public and see what they thought.
Now, and just so everyone's clear, Herndon is an off-year election in May, as opposed to the normal state or federal November elections.
Right. Well, a lot of towns and cities in Virginia have May elections. And several years ago, within the last 5 years or so, I believe, the General Assembly decided not to fund those elections any longer. It was a tough budget year. You remember the recession. It was really tough. So one of the things that they did was pull the funding for those May elections and encourage towns to move to November. And so
this is in the General Assembly, right? That passed. It
yes.
went through and everyone voted. Good idea.
Well, I don't know if everyone voted, but it passed.
It passed.
So,
the majority of the representation
yes.
voted.
And so it is allowed, towns can by ordinance and cities move their May elections to November. So we held an unprecedented number of public hearings on this. We sent out a postcard to every household in the town, alerting the citizenry that we were considering some of these changes. We were looking at, like I just said before, 4-year terms, staggered terms, and possibly moving to November. And it was very important to us. We talked about it at the retreat. This was going to be a big deal, a big conversation, and we wanted to be as transparent as possible.
And previous councils had considered this, correct?
It had come up, I believe, in conversations with residents and with the council, but it had never come to public hearing.
Okay. But it had been discussed before.
Absolutely.
Because I think I had heard that there were quite a few people that had talked about potentially doing it before. So this was not like out of the blue.
This wasn't a new idea that we just came up with. It's been talked about for years.
Okay.
So we decided to put it on the public hearing agenda. Like I said, we sent a postcard to everyone. We held 4 public hearings throughout October through December, and we had a final vote in December.
So in the public hearings, and just so the folks watching, anyone in the town or outside of the town, anyone really, they were given 2 minutes, 3 minutes to voice their opinion.
When you come to speak on any item in a public hearing, you have up to 3 minutes.
Okay.
So.
And you're pretty good about letting people speak. I've been there. I've spoken, and you wrote and you listened to everyone.
We do. We do. That's our job.
And
right?
those meetings sometimes go to beyond midnight, right?
They have their moments. They do. But so it was very interesting. I mean, I went into this really feeling that we should keep our elections in May, and felt very strongly about the 4-year staggered terms. That's where I thought I was in the beginning. When we listened to the public, and we got, I can't even tell you how many. It was a huge outpouring of conversation. Yeah, it was 4 public hearings, and in fact, people came and spoke even before our first official public hearing, because word gets out, people know what's coming up on the agenda, and they came and spoke. So we listened to the people. There were great arguments for and against each. People came in passionately. One thing that I really walked away from was knowing people love their town. And they want to have their voice heard. Yeah. So like I said to you before, I saw the 4-year term as an opportunity for whatever council is elected to see their projects through to fruition.
And now let's just for a brief moment, the reason that's important is because when you do have these development projects, it's very difficult when you have that uncertainty in the council or the decision-making chambers. If I'm a developer, I'm an investor, I want some stability, right? So from that perspective, I like the idea that at least I'll get 4 years of a decision from a body.
Well, and two, I think that I saw it from the citizens' perspective that, I've elected you because you've said you're interested in getting our downtown built, so I'd like you to have time to do that. And I mean, that does take time working with the development community.
Right, nothing happens,
But also through all the processes, there's rezonings and, all of that planning commission, all that bureaucracy, really.
It takes time.
It takes time, it does. So as we listened to people, though, what I heard resoundingly was, people didn't see that as an opportunity to get more done. They saw it as an opportunity for the council to be less accountable, because they were only going to be up for election every 4 years instead of 2. Yeah. So I really tried to listen to that, because I hadn't considered it that way.
But see, if you think about it, the reason I compare it to the Board of Supervisors, because sort of it's a similar discipline of what you make decisions on.
Right.
Congress is elected to 2 years, but the reason we have senators to 6 and presidents to 4 is those just are roles and a profile of a group that you're dealing with bigger issues, basically. So, so I mean, I like the 4-year. I think it makes sense. And well, we're going to break here in a little bit, folks, but when we come back, we'll get the second part of this story in terms of what happened at the vote and some other things that the mayor will update us on. So appreciate you staying there, and appreciate you coming back, and we'll be right back.
Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, all the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Hi folks, Cesar here. Thanks for coming back again. With me in the studio, we have Mayor Lisa Merkel, and we're talking about Herndon.
We are.
So when before the break, for the folks that are just joining us, there was a discussion, public hearing on moving the elections from May to November, and possibly extending what I think is a great idea, 2 years into 4 years. So that's where we ended. So what happened here?
Okay, so I think there's some merit to the 4-year idea, but like I said before, what we heard from a lot of people was they want to be able to hold their officials accountable, and they wanted to be able to vote often. So in the end, we voted to keep the term at 2 years, but to move our elections to November, starting in 2016.
Yeah, and I'm totally for giving more people the opportunity to vote. I just
absolutely. I cannot think of a single downside. We're grappling with huge things. We are a small town, but we're the 3rd largest town in the state of Virginia.
And just so the folks understand that May elections typically were 20-25% turnout
at the most. Yeah.
And folks, and this is something I want you to make sure you get. In the state off-year elections in November, the turnout in Herndon was anywhere from 40 to 48%. Presidentials, I think it zoomed up to like 70-75% in 3 precincts of Herndon.
You probably know better than I do, but I do know it's a significant, increase, and it's hardly even debated. So,
well, the argument could never be let's move elections from November to May.
It'd be a hard sell.
That just wouldn't make sense. So anyway, I hate to interrupt you.
No, you
got the floor.
No.
You got the floor. So the votes.
So we voted to keep it
Okay.
to keep the 2-year term, but to move from May to November because as people came and spoke,
It's good compromise.
That's what I thought. You know, I just could not find a reason that more people participating was a bad thing. Like I said, you know, we're dealing with metro. We're the only town in the Commonwealth with a metro station coming. I mean, we've got some big things
It's
coming
huge.
down the
It's
pike.
huge.
We have 24,000 citizens who live in our town, and I think that especially as we make big decisions like metro and how to treat public transportation and get people out of their cars into their metro station, we need to hear from as many people as possible
Sure.
about what they think. It's just a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
So I thought.
Yeah. So what happened?
So let me back up a little bit. I'm going to get my wonk mode on and explain
Okay.
about sort of how these things go.
Sure.
The General Assembly, the town has a charter, which is like our Constitution that lays out, you know, how things work in the town. And part of that is explaining our elections and the role of the mayor and the council. There are 2 ways to change your election from May to November. You can do it by ordinance, which doesn't require some General Assembly action, or you can put it in a charter bill, which does require General Assembly action. And you might say, well, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just, you know, pass an ordinance on your own? Well, when we started this and sent out the postcard to all the residents, we were looking at possibly having 4-year terms. And a change in term length does require a charter change. So we went the charter change route because these kinds of charter bills sail through the General Assembly all the time. They just are almost never.
They've approved tons.
Well, this year alone, I believe there were at least 4 other towns who had the same charter change request that were granted.
Sure.
But as you know, in the General Assembly, we were shocked last Tuesday to see that it was voted back into a committee where it's since gone to die. Senator Wexton agreed to carry the charter bill for us.
And Senator Wexton is the ranking representative.
She's the senator that represents the town of Herndon.
Okay.
She is.
Okay.
So she carried the bill. It was Senate Bill 935, and she carried it. It passed the Senate unanimously, went over to the House, and went to the Counties, Cities, and Towns Committee, which is very normal. They review these. It came out of that. Didn't pass that unanimously, which was odd because, to my knowledge, the others all did. But then when it went out to the House floor, it was moved to Privileges and Elections Committee, where Senator Wexton was told by the chair of that committee that it would not be heard. So basically, they will take no action on it.
So the General Assembly intervened on what the town leadership had said, this makes sense for us.
Inexplicably so.
Okay.
Yes. Which my question has been all week is, what is so different about Herndon?
Sure.
All of the other charter bills moving May to November were approved except for Herndon.
Something's fishy in that process. Okay, so
Something
what's,
strange is afoot.
Yeah, Rotten in Denmark, I believe. Macbeth, was it? So what's next for Herndon's elections?
I have placed it back on the agenda. We will now just take it up as an ordinance, moving our election from May to November.
And people will have a chance to weigh in.
Once again, this will be the 5th public hearing that we've held on this item, and it will be at 7 p.m. on March 10th in the council chambers.
Okay, that sounds like that's going to be an interesting public hearing.
I think it will be. You know, we've heard from a lot of people. I mean, and I think that the council has already made a decision on this, and because of the General Assembly's inaction, we have been forced to spend more money to advertise yet another public hearing, more staff time to keep our staff at another public hearing, and we'll hear from the people once again, and we'll take a vote.
Well, I think you'll get things done. You are getting things done in Herndon. Let's talk about some of the other things that are going on in Herndon.
All right,
some
let's
of
do it.
I mean, first of all, I love springtime because springtime means farmers markets, Friday Night Live, the festivals.
Absolutely. All those things that people love about living in Herndon.
Oh, it's great. You
Yeah.
can walk to all this stuff.
Exactly. Well, you know, tonight we're sitting here. It's a February night. We're covered in snow. Our
9 degrees outside.
Our Department of Public Works did a stellar job once again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the big perks of living in town. We do all of our own snow removal, so we don't have to wait on VDOT, who I'm sure is thankful since they have the whole rest of the county to deal with.
Sure.
But yeah, it has brought my mind to all of the springtime fun that's ahead ahead. So, Friday Night Live is a signature event. I know it's right in your backyard, and we can hear the concerts from our backyard, which is great.
Yeah.
It's a free event. It's put on by the Chamber. This is the 21st year.
Wow.
It was one of the first concert series of its kind in Northern Virginia, and it's been named by all sorts of, Northern Virginia Magazine and all kinds of other publications.
So for the folks that may
event.
not have heard about it or don't know about it, it's basically a party on the lawn.
That's right.
There's food and drink and just fun times,
Yeah,
right?
it's great. It's a lot of cover bands, a lot of bands that you've heard of.
Families, it's very family friendly.
It's very family friendly. It's free admission.
Yeah.
And so it's just so great because it's on the town green in downtown. The Chamber, has the beer booth. We have local restaurants like Jimmy's and JJ Deli come in and have the food booths. You can bring your own food if you want, but kids are running around playing ball in the front of the stage, and you have people like, Kristen and the Noise, the bands, singing happy birthday to children because their birthday is that night. So
it really is cool.
It really is. It was actually what helped me find Herndon.
Really?
But we used to live just outside of town, and we're driving through town one evening, and we're like, oh my gosh, what is going on down there? So we pull over and go. Gonzo's Nose was playing, and we've been going pretty much every Friday since then. That was in '98.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that,
So make sure you keep that, because that is, I heard some things about budgeteer or budget. That defines Herndon for so many people.
I couldn't agree more.
Make sure we keep that going.
Definitely.
So,
can I tell you about the festival? Okay, you're going there. Sorry. I'm sorry, it's your show.
You're my guest. Go.
You got to love a town that throws itself a party every spring. It's every year, the weekend after Memorial Day, we have a 4-day festival in downtown. 80,000 people come. The best night is Thursday night when the carnival opens, and every kid in Herndon is there.
My lady's there too. She's one of those big kids.
See, exactly. So, and there's nothing better than being on the Ferris wheel and looking down and seeing all of the town.
Awesome.
Speaking of downtown, I'm just going to keep talking until you tell me I can't anymore. We have a lot of great new restaurants in downtown. We have Europa has just opened. It's right across the street from Zeffirelli's, which has been a staple in town for years. Russia House has moved into a new, I know they're one of your good friends and one of your favorites.
I think I have a revolving account there.
Something like that. So they've moved right across the street. We have, I'm all over the place. We have a mural program in town. So there are murals all over downtown. There's one that on the side of the vet that is Pets in the Park is what it's called. And all the pets on there are people who have made a contribution to the Arts Council to get their pet on there. So I know your brownie's there, my pumpkin's there. So it's just, Herndon, I think that is just the essence of Herndon right there. Where else can you walk around downtown and have your kids point out and go, there's Brownie, there's all of the pets they know.
And what's cool about it too is you mentioned those restaurants.
Yeah.
And then there's these other restaurants. So it's like we've got high-end fine dining, white linen cloth tables, great wines to, kind of like mid-level, not super expensive.
We've got something for everyone. That's what I love about Herndon is it is a community.
124 restaurants about covers it.
Well, what else do I need to say, really? But Herndon is it is such a diverse community. It's really a slice of who we are as a country, and I love that. My children are growing up in a place where they know people from all over the world. They walk down the street. A homecoming parade comes down their street every fall. Right down the main street of town. They know everyone's names on all the campaign signs. They think this is normal.
Wow.
So I don't know where they're going when they grow up. They're going to have to come back to Herndon.
And that I think speaks to why it's working so well, because it is such a diverse, not just of ideas, but really culture, languages,
economics,
Herndon, everything. Right. And I think you really need someone that understands how to reach out to everyone. So keep doing that. That is like the thing that's making a difference. I hear it from people all the time. There was this segment of Herndon's not too distant past that was a little bit ugly, and I think the town's kind of left that behind it. So
absolutely,
clearly, keep doing what you do. What final things do you want to do? You've got another year in office? So any big plans?
Well, like I said earlier, we started off talking about downtown. The number one priority for this mayor and council is to get our downtown plan off the page and into reality. People want it. We just had a citizen survey where we asked citizens how they felt about living in town, the services, and what they wanted to see happening. It was overwhelming. People are ready for downtown, so we're going to make it happen.
Walkable. Oh, and one last thing. Those things you're painting on the sides of the roads for the bikes, the Sherrods, don't cross here.
Right.
Brilliant idea.
Well, we're getting ready. We just awarded the contract. We're going to be doing some improvements on all the trail crossings at Van Buren, Ferndale, and Crestview. Crestview's going to get a lot of improvements because we want to make sure that the cyclists that are coming through our town are safe.
And there's a lot of them too.
Oh my gosh, 180 an hour on a nice summer day.
Wow.
Go through our downtown.
That's awesome.
Because we're the midpoint of the trail.
Yeah.
So Vienna or DC to Purcellville, we're
right.
just about the midpoint, and it bisects our town. So I think it's really a main street that we are going to capitalize on in years to come.
That's awesome. One last idea to think about, that little station, that old station.
Yep.
Maybe a little convenience store in there. What do you think?
That'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, it has our museum in there right now.
I know, but okay.
Hey, I'm all about the history, Cesar.
True.
Come
Okay.
on. We got to hold on to the history while we're making the future happen.
That's why you're the great mayor you are. You're thinking long term about this stuff.
Trying to.
So I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
This has been absolutely great, and I hope the people out there that do have any questions, go to your website, Facebook page, or just hit the town's website. Mayor Merkel, thank you so much for coming. Folks, we'll be back with our next guest, and thank you again for joining us thus far. See you back after the break.